What's happening, Kawhi? Reggie was just talking about how you a man of a few words, and just how you just be quiet and how you like to lock in. You being quiet is how you lock in when you focus. When you have a good game.
I don't know. I mean, it's just who I am. Pretty much. Like I said before, I'm not a rah-rah guy. I'm gonna come out, tell my teammates what we need to do to win. See what's happening out there on the floor without going all over the place. Just being direct and telling them what needs to happen, and just moving on from there.
Kawhi Leonard is an interesting guy, to say the least. He doesn't say much, but that doesn't mean he's not communicating. Now, the famously quiet and laid-back superstar is one of the main reasons the Spurs and the Raptors won a championship. And yet, he has none of the personality traits you would come to expect from a superstar athlete. Now, when Kawhi Leonard steps on the floor, it's all business. My man, he blows by his defenders, he hits contested mid-range shots with ease, or he banks in step-back three-pointers with hands all in my man's grill. Now, the crowd, they cheer with passion, and they're just so fierce with emotion for Kawhi. But for Kawhi, he shrugs it off, jogs back as if nothing even happened. Now, just think about it. You, myself, or the TV cameras, we're not used to seeing a player hit big shots with a blank expression on their face. Let me give you an example. LeBron James, he celebrates by roaring, beating his chest, and throwing down violent dunks that shake the whole entire gym. Steph Curry playfully smiles and dances around the court when he splashes those threes in your face. You don't want to know what Kawhi Leonard does? All he does is make big plays, then he jogs down the court with no emotion on his face. And he sometimes occasionally slap high fives with his teammates. Now, you would think that superstars, influencers, celebrities, and the like are extroverted with big personalities. Well, not Kawhi Leonard. Now, in this video, you're going to learn about Kawhi from the people who know him best: his family, his teammates, and his coaches. But as usual, before we begin, if you appreciate NBA commentary like this, it would mean a lot to me if you smash that like button and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already done so. It only takes a split second, and it seriously helps me out tremendously. And as a thank you for doing that, here's a picture of NBA cheerleaders. Thank you again. Now back to the video. Kawhi's mom, Kimberly Robertson, she had to work during his freshman tryouts at California Canyon Spring High School. So unfortunately, he missed the tryouts and the school coach refused to let him on the team. But luckily for Kawhi, he found an AAU coach and mentor, Marvin Leah, and transferred to Riverside's Martin Luther King High School. Now Kawhi, he committed himself to basketball and he earned a scholarship to San Diego State instead of going to the big schools that wanted to recruit him later on in the process. Here's what his former high school coach had to say about Kawhi. He always stays after. I wanted to go home, man. I got 4 kids and I have to count on my assistant coaches to stay for Kawhi. Now, I called my dad one day, who is a Hall of Fame high school coach and college coach. I said, yo, you gotta come to the gym right now. I think we found ourselves not only an NBA player, he's an NBA All-Star. He laughed at me. Well, guess what? Nobody's laughing now. He went on to say, there was something in Kawhi's game. He doesn't have to score to dominate a basketball game. He could do it through rebounding. It could be through assists. He can also do it through stealing the ball or playing defense. Now take a listen to what Justin Hudson, assistant coach at San Diego State, had to say about Kawhi. He was a guy you had to go find in recruiting because he wasn't always going to pick up his phone. He was not easy to get in contact with, not easy to read, but he was genuine with me. So if you could continue to work and call and go see him and text, he'd appreciate that. Now for the San Antonio Spurs, David Robinson passed the torch to Tim Duncan. And guess what? Tim Duncan passed that torch to Kawhi. He saw the writing on the wall. They just saw how good Kawhi was. Now the Spurs, they had a difficult choice to make. They had to decide whether to trade George Hill, an established guard who they had invested in, for the chance to get Kawhi in the 2011 NBA draft. Now the Indiana Pacers, they ended up drafting Kawhi 15th overall, and they traded him to the Spurs on draft night for George Hill. Here's what the Spurs head coach Greg Popovich had to say about Kawhi. It was the toughest decision in 20 years I've been coaching the Spurs. We were scared to death sitting in the room. I thought it was the 15th pick. When we got to the 11th, 12th, 13th pick, I was looking at the CEO, Danny Ferry, saying, are we really going to do this? Are we really going to trade George Hill for Kawhi Leonard? Greg Popovich went on to say, George Hill was one of my favorite players. He was important to us, but we needed to get bigger. So in the end, we're going to roll the dice and go for it. But I can't tell that at that point, we knew that Kawhi was going to be what he is today. Now, that would be an exaggeration. On January 18th, 2008, Kawhi found out his dad had been murdered.
That's why we're doing this.
After 11 years, there is still pain. Pain for a son who never knew his dad, and pain for a wife who saw her husband get shot and killed right in front of her.
And I kept saying, he's killing him.
The victim is 43-year-old Mark Leonard. He was shot and killed in front of his car wash in Compton. These are crime scene photos from the investigation. He was the father of NBA star Kawhi Leonard.
You look out for me, I look out for you. Daddy's watching.
Zion Leonard is Kawhi's half-brother. Kawhi, seen there on the left, was a teen at the time of the shooting. Jacqueline Leonard remembers she had just found out she was pregnant with Zion when an incident occurred at the car wash.
You could see the conversation escalated to loud voices, getting closer to one another, and that scared me.
The car wash is no longer here. It's now another business. Jacqueline says it started when a friend came by hoping Mark would help mediate a dispute. She says she didn't know who the other people were. There was a loud discussion, everyone left, and then she noticed something unusual.
This truck where the other people were in kept driving back and forth by the car wash. Now, my nerves are really getting bad because I'm thinking, why do they keep driving by here?
Hours later, at closing time, someone walks through the gate and comes up towards them.
And he had on a gray sweatshirt and his hood over his head and all these dark clothes. But you couldn't see him, and he had something across his face. You could only see eyes. And I said, and when I went to say, who the heck is that? He starts shooting.
The suspect then stands over Mark Leonard and keeps shooting. He then runs off.
I ran outside and laid on Mark's back and was telling him, hey, you got to make it. You know, what about me? What about the baby, the kids?
And Kawhi was just a junior at Riverside King High School. He heard the news on a phone call from his sister while driving with his mom and uncle, and he still wanted to play that night. Kawhi, he ended up scoring 17 points, but his team did lose 68-60. Kawhi fell into his mom's arms in the arena hallway after the game. He just broke down. Kawhi and his dad were very close. The case is still open. There has been no arrest made. Kawhi internalized his father's death as fuel to achieve his NBA dream. He earned a scholarship to San Diego State and was drafted by the Pacers, then traded to the Spurs. Now, he did an excellent job defending LeBron James in the 2014 NBA Finals, and he played a key role in helping the Spurs beat the Miami Heat that year. Just so happened, he was named Finals MVP on Father's Day. Here's what his teammate Manu Ginobili had to say about Kawhi. Towards the end of the 2013 Finals we lost, you could see him starting to change his game. We were not calling plays for him at all. Even the second year, the finals we won, we were not calling a lot of plays for him. But he started to figure it out, and then we did start to call plays and go to him. First only at the post, then he got bigger roles, and then it was everything. Kawhi's AAU coach said that Kawhi is notoriously quiet and keeps to himself, but he knows everything that's going on. Now, once you get him in that front seat of your car and you get him alone, he'll ask you the questions he needs to ask you. He's quiet, just watching, just looking at everything, but his teammates and people like to be around him. Also, listen to what teammate Pat Bev said about Kawhi Leonard.
When I say, Kawhi, 6 a.m. morning, he sent me a picture of him in the gym. Oh, I beat you today. I'm pissed. The whole time I'm on the way, I'm 15 minutes from my workout, but just the fact that he's 23 minutes, in front of me, he wins the day, and I come back in at night. Oh, take picture. Oh, yeah, you didn't do a second session. He hits back. Second session, I'm on my third. Like, those friendly battles all the time.
Teammate David Lee from the Spurs days said he talks, but he's definitely on the quiet side, similar to Klay Thompson, where he's not going to voluntarily speak unless spoken to. Now, with so many guys now in the league that are all about their brand and all about flair and being so arrogant, which everybody has a right to do in their own, I think it's actually amazing that Kawhi is pretty quiet. Now, when it comes to Kawhi, his personal life is very low-key, more so than his fellow NBA colleagues. We know that already. Now, we know that he also has a girlfriend and a child, and he's from Southern California. Known mainly from ESPN reports digging into Kawhi's secretive exit from the Spurs, his uncle seems to have some level of influence over Kawhi's off-court decisions. We also know that New Balance makes his shoes. Kawhi also appeared on his former teammate Serge Ibaka's YouTube cooking channel. That's something rare for Kawhi to do. Serge Ibaka was Kawhi's best friend when they played together on the Raptors. But at one point during the video, Ibaka didn't know whether Kawhi's partner was his girlfriend or his wife. Now, that simple personal detail seems like something a best friend would know, right? But Ibaka, he had to ask. Then you hear the exact opposite about Kawhi. Here's what his longtime trainer had to say about him. We talked about everything. We talked about shoes, clothes, food, the training, cars, the stock market. He's a big kid, and the crazy thing is, he's really intelligent about a lot of stuff. He's coming out with his own clothing line. He's the one that designed the cloth. He doesn't have people fabricating stuff for him. Everything that he has going for himself, he's the one that has put the time and effort in. If people are upset that Kawhi is a quiet person, he doesn't really care. And he cares about what's necessary to win. Now, if that's more communication, if that's going to help solve the situation and help him win, then that's what he'll do. But right now, it's about working to get healthy and compete for another championship. I'll be the first to admit, there are many different ways a superstar can lead his team to a championship. They could be more friendly like LeBron James or Steph Curry, or they could be more confrontational like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, or they could just be quiet like Kawhi Leonard. At the end of the day, Kawhi has proven himself to be a winner, and that's all what really matters. And don't forget to smash that like button on your way out and share this video with a friend. Ivory out.